Thanks to everybody. While Kelsey's letting everybody in, I just want to say thank you all very much for coming and participating with our hopefully very cool idea to do a digital exhibit hall for 3 regions. So first time we've ever done this. So we've been thinking about it and talking through. So we hope very much that we have answered all the questions in advance and created a completely smooth path. However, as I have been awake and breathing for a while, I understand that that's probably not entirely the case, but we are here to fix it and to make it good for everybody. So I hope we'll talk, Kelsey's going to introduce and sort of do some housekeeping stuff to start, but then we'll walk through the process and then we'll answer questions from everybody. So.
All right. Yeah, I think we've gotten almost everybody at this point. We may have some late joiners coming in just a second. But yeah, like Jeremy said, thank you guys so much for being here and joining this with us today. I'm excited to see how this all turns out. It's a brave new world and we're all jumping in and trying to figure this out as we go along. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kelsey. I'm the operations manager for Mountains and Plains. And today our plan is to go over the virtual Tri-West exhibit hall. So this is a shared exhibit hall between the PNBA and Kaliba regions, as well as MPIBA. And our hope is that it's going to reach hundreds of bookstores and thousands of booksellers in the Western United States across our 3 regions. So Jeremy is going to be taking things over in just a minute. He's going to walk through the exhibit hall, show you the different ways that you can customize your booth page and address a few questions that have already come up. But just a few basics before we dive into everything. Let's see. So each regional association will have our own shows throughout the month of October with separate author appearances, separate pick of the list opportunities, and educational programming. So if you're looking for details on those, it would probably be better to look through each association's website or to contact us or the PNBA or Kaliba people directly. After Jeremy's run through, we will open things up for questions. You can submit your questions in the chat section, which you'll see at the bottom of your screen. Or if you'd prefer to ask your question to us directly, you can use the Zoom feature to raise your hand. So for those of you who maybe aren't too familiar with the Zoom, you can raise your hand. You click on the participants button, which should be at the bottom right side of your screen. Once you click that, you'll see a list of the participants, and then you click on the raise hand option, which should be next to your name. Couple other things for just technical housekeeping. There are a lot of people joining us today, as you can see. So if you can't see me, there is the option to do the speaker view, which is in the upper right corner, and that'll just be focused on me or Jeremy as we're talking. So just a way to make sure you're getting the right information as people are coming in. We also ask that you keep yourself on mute. I think everybody already is on mute automatically, but just keep it that way just so we don't have too much background noise. And if you need to leave the meeting early at any point, we are recording this. So it'll be up on our website, mountainsplains.org, by tomorrow morning at the latest, but Jeremy's pretty good about getting these things up early. So he will have that posted as soon as he can. I think that covers everything for me though. I'll pass things on to Jeremy for now.
All right, thanks again, everyone. So as Kelsey mentioned, we're doing the 3 different, our 3 regions are using a single exhibit hall. And we're hosting that on our special exhibit hall page, which is fallcon.org. And so you're at any point welcome to go and like browse around that page. The navigation is largely finished. There are no details really yet because we still don't have our programming set up. We're working on that now. But you can see sort of the exhibit hall examples after the fact. I'm going to share my screen now so that you can see, so that I can do my sort of walkthrough here. Let me see if I can do this without too much trouble. Here we go. Yes. All right, so this is the Falcon page and the home base for the exhibit hall. We're going to walk through this as a consumer or as a bookseller. so you can kind of see how they'll experience it, and that will help probably shape the way that you go into it. We've got just basic information, and then there are 3 booth level types. There's the premium booth, and if you're a sponsor, you're in one of the top 4 spots, or otherwise you were in one of these. The essential booths here and the standard booths here. They're priced differently and they have different features. The alphabetical listing of all of the booths is right underneath the sponsors. The way that we are arranging the exhibit hall, just so you can know, to help move you along a little bit if you're interested in doing this, is in this page, they're going to be organized by the way that they come in. So if you book early, you're closer to the top of your section. If you book later, you're closer to the bottom. In the premium and essential booths, that's where probably most people are going to end up being. So just in terms of your speed, if you want to reserve the space, we don't invoice until the end of October. So if you know you're going to do this, go ahead and reserve your space so you can get in line. Let's see. We're going to look at the premium example. Right now, if you were to go on your page to any of these spots, you can click on these examples and see sort of the basic bits. And the premium has everything, and then the essential has a little bit less, and the standard booth has a little bit less than that. So everything works the same on all of them. But we're going to talk through all of the elements of the premium booth so you get a sense of what all the opportunities are. So there are 3 things that each exhibitor will need to provide for the booth. Text, links, and graphics. And each booth gets 3 graphics. There's the button that you just saw in the main exhibit hall. That button is your first graphic. You get this header graphic here. And then on every booth page, there is a sidebar graphic that's next to the links. The dimensions are listed here. We'll post whatever you want to be graphically included. You provide the finished link or the finished graphic, and we put it up. They don't link to anything, it's just visual. And like I say, if you provide them in the correct dimensions, that's it. No animated GIFs, please. They'll take up too much space and the page will run too slow with everything that we're going to have on here. But you can put the company where it says your company name here is, so the publisher page or whatever your company name will go there first. So you don't necessarily need to include the header with your company name unless you want to. You're certainly welcome to, but that is not required. You are assigned other than that. So that's basically the graphics. The next part of it is the links. So every button on this page is a link. And we have made some suggestions here. Visit our website, make an appointment, request things. We have made these suggestions, but they are only suggestions. You provide the link for each button and the text to go in each button. And the text can be really whatever you want it to be within reason, right? Like it's the request arcs is probably that's about the max character count that you're going to be able to get into a button without it looking really funny and misshapen. But there's total flexibility with this. It can be anything that you want it to be. The one thing that isn't a button that looks like one is this contact us, which is a little accordion, so you can give us names of people, but that's not a link. That's just that looks like a button, but it's not a button. The same with show specials. But every other button, anything that does this sort of effect where it turns from yellow to white, is a link for you to provide. And then there are different kinds of links that are sort of hidden. The first one is this feature titles. We're going to automatically link. If you're a book publisher or book provider, this is different if you're a sideline vendor or something that's not. So for books specifically, we will pull your jacket. We're asking you to give us the ISBN. We'll pull your jacket from Edelweiss and link it to Edelweiss on this automatically. That's all you'll have to provide is the ISBN. If you want it to link someplace else, you can specify that. So it can go to your catalog. It can go wherever you want. No Amazon links. but otherwise it's there for you to sort of do what you want. If you need to provide me with a special graphic because you're a sideline vendor, or the jacket's not on Edelweiss yet, or you have something special that you want to include, you can do that for me. That is a separate step, so it's not a part of the main form upload. You just check that you want to provide them separately, but it's 400 by 600 is the dimensions if that's a thing that's important to you. Otherwise, I can give that information to you later as well. The other link that is sort of a secret link are these videos. So this video player does play directly on the page, but we will link directly to your YouTube or Vimeo product. So you put it online and we'll connect it here and it'll play. If you go and click through here, it plays directly on the page. It doesn't launch you into a new thing. It takes almost no time at all to start. So it's very seamless, built into the page. And you provide that content. If you want to give us a 3-hour movie, by all means, give us a 3-hour movie. If you want book trailers or something short and fast, something that's looped, it's entirely up to you. You provide the link and we'll link to it. And then the final thing is the text. In every section, there's a little space for some text for introduction, something to lead into whatever the link is, and so on. When in the form, you're invited to upload that text, and we'll post whatever you want. Fast is funny, short is better. I'll post paragraphs and paragraphs, but in general, this is something to think about is web content. We don't want full things linked to full things. But that's kind of it. So it looks like this big, complicated, daunting kind of thing, and perhaps it is, but less so once you sort of think about it in the parts. And then when you reserve your space, you go on, you decide what level of booth you get, you sign up for it, and you will get a link in that to the form to which you will upload all the information. And we want you to submit that in one movement at one time. So take time to put your booth together, but we can't take a little of this and a little of that along and along with as many vendors as we're going to do this for. And since it's also our first time to do it, we want to make sure that it is as composed and, excuse me, as contained as possible. But with that, the form shows you everything that we're asking for. You load the graphics directly into the form, you fill everything out, you opt out of whatever you don't want. If you don't only want one button at the top and you don't want to give us any contacts, we'll remove the buttons and make it look nice. And so you don't have to include everything that we have given you an option for. It's just, if you say, I don't want that, then we take it away and the page will look nice and clean without it. It won't be nothing's broken. The content submission deadline is August 30th, the end of August. So you've got 6 weeks now, is that more or less to complete this? The exhibit hall will be live for all 3 trade shows starting on September 28th. The PNBA show starts on, I think, on the 29th of September. And then it'll be up through the month of October. All 3 regions will promote the exhibit hall as a feature throughout the month, not just through the shows. So there will be sort of an ongoing promotion from California to Oklahoma and north and south in that area as well. So it's you'll be reaching a lot of booksellers for an extended period of time. Minor changes. You discover a typo late in the game, no problem, send me an email, I'll fix a typo. Can change small things. Any sort of wholesale, I need to redo an entire section or I need to change my graphics, there's going to be a $200 change fee. That is to help us cover the costs of people to make those changes. It may not, if one person asks for a big change, then it would be a different thing, but I just, as a way to manage the volume of expected potential problems, we really want you to, sort of submit with confidence. And then if we need to make small adjustments, that's within reason, but anything really large is going to incur a fee. As Kelsey said, you book one exhibit hall for all 3 regions. So you book it through us. We'll invoice you if you're from Caliba or PNBA. You'll get a separate invoice. If you're a part of the MPIBA programming, it'll all be included on a single invoice. So that is the I think the big overview. I hope that I haven't talked too fast or missed out on anything important. Kelsey, did I miss any sort of like major key thing that we had always talked about?
Nothing that comes to mind right away. We'll open it up for questions because I'm sure people have lots of options. And I did just want to emphasize that this is customizable for Sidelines products. So any place you see a book, you'll need to provide us with the image of your product instead, but we are absolutely able to accommodate that for you. So whatever it is you're selling, we want to make sure that gets out.
All right, so now we'll just sort of open it up to questions because we think we've thought of it all, but maybe haven't necessarily.
And yeah, Jeremy, I did want to jump back to what you were saying about invoicing. All invoicing is going to come through MPIBA.
Yes.
So we will send you one invoice that'll include everything for your booth.
I see here one of the questions, clarify the booking process. So you just answered that sort of, but you can book it through all 3 regions on their pages have links that go to our site or our forum on Mountains and Plains. So you can find it through whomever you normally book. The site is housed at mountainsplains.org if you want to go there and look separately.
And for that, you only need to fill out the form once then for each booth. But if you did want multiple booths, say for different imprints or for whatever reason, you'll need to fill out the form once each time for each booth that you're booking.
Yeah, each time you fill out that form reserves one block of space on the site. So content deadline is August 30th for all the content.
Mm-hmm.
Sideline has an ISBN and is an Edelweiss. We do not need an image. We'll just, if it's there, if you've got it, if it's living on Edelweiss, I'll pull whatever image that is and post it and link to it unless you specify a different link.
We have a question about how the setting up appointment link works, and that's something that you'll need to set up and determine on your own. So the setup appointment, that's just a suggestion from our end for one thing that the button could be. It really could be whatever you want. So your setup appointment link, that could link straight to a Zoom where you're just sitting at your desk waiting there to see if anybody's coming in. The setup appointment could also pull up an email address, and then you could have the bookseller email you directly to just set up an appointment that way.
We also, Google Forms is a great, simple, free, and easy way to collect basic data. So you can make your own form in about 5 minutes, and that link is open to the world and live, and we can link directly to that. So you have to choose, they have you given the email address for the bookstore and what ARCs they want or appointment time they want to manage that all on your own.
One of the questions, if we're taking part in show-specific programs like rep picks or author events, will those be listed on our exhibitor page? So they only would be if you decided to list them. You would need to include that information, say in your introduction paragraph or in one of your video links. But because there are 3 different shows happening that'll each have their own content, we're each going to be handling that content in different ways. It won't be linked directly from your exhibitor page.
Next question is, as a rep group, can all of our publishers be searchable from the main page? Alas, no. You can be listed on the main page as a rep group and feature links inside, but if you want it, it's sort of a single link to a single section. Our video links limited to 5. So there are 2 video players on the premium booth level, 1 video player on the essential, and the standard booth does not have a video player. So 2 videos live on the site. If you wanted to use the links that are included, those buttons that are included to link to other videos, then you can. It is, I think it's 5 links are there in that section. That
It
is
depends
the
on
window.
if it's premium or essential.
Right.
So for the
So yeah,
premium booth, it's 5. Yeah.
so in each, if you look at the 3 different models on falcon.org, right now, if you click through to those, every one of those buttons links to just an empty model. That is the basic bit that you have to fill. So if there's a button there, you can add it, do whatever you want with it. The premium booth for, somebody asked about the number of titles and jackets. The premium booth comes with 10 jacket spaces. Excuse me. The essential booth comes with 5 jacket spaces, and the standard booth does not come with jacket spaces.
We have a question about, could you let us know what items are not included with the lower level booth options?
That's really, it's, if you look at if you go to falcon.org and click on the booths, that is the best way to sort of see what is there. We would just, it's kind of a tit for tat. The graphics are all the same on all of them. The difference is the videos goes from 2 videos in premium, essential gets 1, standard gets none. And then the numbers of text fields basically that are, and link options are limited the lower you go. So I think the standard booth has 3 links and the essential has 5. So it's just breakouts like that. But if you look at those models, they are that's the best way to sort of see what is included with each version. The MPI-PA, I'm sorry, the links at the top of the falcon.org page all go back to the Mountains and Plains trade show. This is our show is being hosted entirely on this site. And we're sharing, Kaliba and PNBA are just linking in just to the exhibit page. We're going to try and moderate some of the confusion by if you look on right now where the 3 logos are, during each show, there will be a banner specific to the show. And then also the footer of the page, we're going to change the schedule program stuff on the footer to each individual show on the days of the individual shows.
And just to specify, that won't make any difference to your booth content. That's just for our falcon.org website overall.
Because we know that there's going to be confusion with people coming in and using it from PNBA and Kaliba, you know, sort of, what is this show? And then clicking around and discovering our stuff, and there being a little bit of confusion. We're going to do everything we can to make it clear that Kaliba is happening now. Click here for the Kaliba programming, and to make it, and same for PNBA, to make it as simple and clean as possible. We want to eliminate confusion as much as is possible, but there may still, just because it's being hosted on falcon.org, be some.
We have a question about, it says, are rep picks pre-recorded content? So again, rep picks will be handled by each association differently. I can't speak for PNBA or Kaliba with what their plans are, but for MPIBA, we will have pre-recorded, or sorry, not pre-recorded, but they will be live rep picks that will then be recorded and available for people to go back and watch later.
Yeah, rep picks are a separate thing from our exhibit hall, from all the exhibit halls. So you'll need to book, if you want rep picks at any of the other shows, I know for sure that they're all taking reservations now. Book your space.
The NBA will advertise those reservations shortly. We're just finishing up our schedule.
Great. Thank you. Another thing that's worth pointing out, the exhibit hall will have a list alphabetically of everyone who is in the exhibit hall. So if anybody's trying to specifically find your booth or just sort of explore that way, they will be able to find it there as well.
We got a couple of questions about how to vary it for shows, that if you want the you know, California specific or Pacific Northwest specific titles being changed in and out for the various shows. That's a good question. I do not have an immediate answer for you now. Same with show specials. I would prefer, if you're going to do different show specials for different, well, if you do different show specials for different regions.
So I have a couple suggestions for that to deal with advertising to different associations. Since you will have a variety of links at your disposal, that's one of the things that's included that Jeremy went over. You could link those specifically to MPIBA content for PNBA, content for Kaliba. You could sort it out that way. For your show specials, you also can upload those either as a block paragraph of text, so you could describe in detail what your specials are for each different region, or you can provide us with a spreadsheet for that and we will upload that onto the page. So you could sort it out either way based on region if that's what you need to do.
For the titles, I would be inclined, if you have regional specific titles that you want to promote to the 3 different regions, I would be inclined to work with you on that. In here I'm speaking to a room of 70 people, saying, oh yeah, sure, I can do this thing. So I'm going to be open to the option, but we don't have a real clear way to manage it. So if 70 vendors want to change their books wholesale from show to show, that is impossible. But if there is a smaller number who need that to be done, that I can, because this is me doing this, if I can achieve it, then I will achieve it for you. The thing to do is to just reach out to me as soon as possible and let me know that that's the thing that you need to have done. That'll help me sort of get an idea that just how broad of an issue it is. And because we really want these booths to be useful to you across time. Kelsey, our show is the final show, right? Like it's
Yeah, I believe that's right.
And then Mountains and Plains. So whatever the final thing setup is at the end of all 3 shows is the way that it'll stay through the end of October while we're promoting it in a general sort of way. So if that makes a difference, that the show is, that I can't add or change additionally after the shows are done.
I'd like to just insert here that I feel like it is very unlikely that we are going to be able to create completely different booth spaces with different titles, different specials, etc. for each show. So I would plan that is not going to be what happens. That is not something that Jeremy's going to be able to do. So plan ahead that you're going to be talking about your region specific titles at your rep picks at each region show, or including those in links to a catalog and an Edelweiss collection that is for PNBA, for Kaliba, and for MPIBA, that those links to just think about that, because I know that Jeremy wants to do whatever he can, but that is not going to be doable because I think what I'm getting is that everyone's going to want to do that. So I'll be the bad guy and say that is very unlikely.
Heather, I'll bring up one other suggestion too, and that would be if someone really, really has a group of books, some content regionally specific, to consider an individual rep getting a basic booth and being listed as a regional representative in the menu, so that if there are some very specific titles or options, that those could be purchased additionally with a smaller booth.
That is reasonable. And the trouble comes from trying to make fast changes for a lot of people. That's where stuff will get screwed up. So a smaller booth where we could come up with a sort of a solution where you could have your regional specific things listed. That is not, I think that seems like a reasonable, it's definitely reasonable for our side, because we get it done early and it's up and it's ready for you to link to and ready for you to promote. So just looking here, I freeze. No, all right.
Dominique, the answer to your question is yes. He says, could we create a sign-up form for ARCs and include this in your booth? Yes, we encourage you to do that. And for MPIBA, I will say specifically for author events that we will have a separate, unrelated to the exhibit hall space for you. If you are having an author at our show, you'll be able to have their book in the virtual ARC gallery room. But yes, Dominique, that's the answer to your question.
So in general, I'll just sort of ask the room, in general, does this seem good? Does it seem like it is going to achieve what you need it to achieve in terms of being able to, assuming we connect people? I mean, is it generally positive or?
Yeah, can I just talk? Okay, it's so much easier than typing. I can't even see all the chat. So when you talked about early, people who sign up early will be at the front of the exhibit hall. Can you talk us through that? The quote unquote front or
if you look at it, 1, 2, 3 listing, there's 4 premium on a line, and so the first 4 people are in the 1, 2, 3, 4 spot.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And same
So it's literally how they're looking at that page, the landing page. Okay.
Exactly. And then the alphabetical booth, of course, the alphabetical listing is by Alpha. And if you want to buy advertising to promote your booth on our homepage, we have some spots available for that for MPIBA.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this, and because this kind of applies to both commission reps and then situations like ours where Simon will buy a booth or 2 or 3, but then we have a lot of distribution clients who will also want to buy some sort of space.
Sure.
How do we get connected? How do we manage? Is there a way to connect us virtually? You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I don't know right now, but so let me think about, there's certainly would be some way to draw those together in some way,
Right.
but I don't know how it is right now. So,
and to link our featured titles, perhaps, or bring us together in a way that's obvious.
yes, I know what you're asking for. I do not have an answer for you right now. So let me get back to you. Let me talk through it with the girls, and we'll
Thank you.
come up with something.
We have a question in the chat section that we may have skipped over earlier. Will there be hours for a virtual booth where folks can ask questions and talk to someone, or does this need to happen for each show specifically? And I do think that the rep picks will be a good way to draw attention to yourself for that for each region specifically. But I did touch on this a little bit earlier, since you have the variety of links and the control over the text on your page. One thing that I might recommend as an option would be to have an ongoing Zoom meeting that people can hop in and out of during each show's days. So it might be you just at your desk getting other work done with the Zoom open. And as people jump in, then that gives you an opportunity to chat with them as they stop by. So you could promote that in the text on your page and have that link to that meeting just be available for whoever wants to jump in.
Or just I'll poll the group. Is the idea of a sort of live, like that sort of live interaction, live questions, appointment time, is that appealing largely to people, or are you guys sort of happy to post the booth and have the booth is up and you can leave it alone?
I'm going to unmute myself right here and say that I think it's important to have some way to link. Oh, I didn't know you could do that, because otherwise people are just looking at text on a page. Part of the appeal of the shows has always been the interaction, like we're having here with the booksellers, and things come up that wouldn't, other than face to face.
So I think that it seems like that is what a lot of people want, and that is absolutely what you should do with your booth. You can have a link to any sort of live appointment or Zoom or anything that you want. And it can be from your booth. You can have the hours written there that says during PNBA, you can click this link and I will be there.
Mhm.
Or, you know, because I'm afraid we have a Zoom account, as you know, and we will be hosting an entire conference on our Zoom account. So we have no way of allowing you individually to have, or we would, because we absolutely would. But so for your one, if you have a booth, one of your links should be to you if you want it to be, to however you want that to be. And that is absolutely what I would encourage, because I 100% agree. People are going to want to talk to you and ask and engage with you. And if so, during their show, during the 2 other shows, and during MPIBA, being live there for a certain amount of hours is, I would think, would be a great benefit to the booksellers.
I just saw we do have a hand raised from Dan Hendricks too, if he has a question there.
Yeah, in general, yes. As far as getting this together as virtual pages, you've done a great job, and this is hard to come up with something that gives a lot of flexibility, and we'll work across 3 shows, so that's fantastic. For your show specifically, I am looking for some of these opportunities for a connection. You have the rep picks that for these shows tend to be for publishers, not for sidelines. One, do you plan on having any kind of, speed presentation or corral or period where you can bring people together for the sidelines? And second, it's something I asked Kelsey, and she said to bring up or, ask again, is will you guys have any incentives for the association members to have appointments or stop bys? Because at the shows, there's always something, and everybody reacts well to prizes and, points and collecting. Will there be that kind of thing to bring people in? Thank you.
I can say for MPIBA, we're definitely coming up. We're still in that brainstorming process of trying to figure out exactly what it would look like to keep track of who's visiting the booths during which shows they're visiting and how we would gather that information. I do think we will have some sort of incentive program involved to get people involved, at least for MPIBA. And I'm sure Paniba and Kaliba would come up with something on their end as well, or we could all work together on that. So unfortunately, I don't have a more specific answer for you just yet. And let's see, trying to think of the other, and for the sidelines roundup question, that isn't something that we have planned on our schedule yet, but I really do like that idea. So I'll bring that to Heather's attention, and we're going to discuss that a little further, at least for MPIBA.
And I will add that, MPIBA's rep pick slots will go on sale, I think, Wednesday, whenever that is. And we are also having a editor's buzz, which has slots as well, 5-minute slots. So a sidelines a sidelines company is welcome to do rep picks. There's nothing that says that those cannot be products versus books. That there's nothing. So you're welcome to. But I do actually like the idea of trying to come up with the actual programming. So I'll think about that a little bit more for our show. That's just speak for us.
And there's lots of questions about the ways to interact. A Facebook Live, Crowdcast, Zoom, whatever. Yes, all of the answer to all of those is yes. We will. One of your links there, instead of schedule an appointment, should be linked to click to chat with hours of your meetings listed, and then it links to wherever your Facebook or your Crowdcast or your Zoom. It is just sort of open. I think the new messenger rooms on Facebook come with links for that sort of thing, because you can talk to anybody anywhere. So there are lots and lots of options. If you have questions or you want to talk through things like that, I'm happy to discuss ways to make it work best for you and whatever your particular purposes are. And yeah, we did, Kelsey and I were talking last week about how the incentive part of this, how to sort of go, give people credit for going to each booth. I don't want to be browsing through hundreds of screenshots. Please provide a screenshot of every. But if anybody has a great idea for something like that, definitely share it. We are looking for some sort of opportunity to help encourage people to go through many of the booths and not just go to the places that they think that they're familiar with, to sort of go to visit as more and see more than they might otherwise.
And this has been some great feedback for us overall, just to know the importance to you of the person to person, that individual contact. So that's not the end of the conversation on this. I think we're going to come together and come up with some solutions for that, or ways to streamline it, to really encourage people to go schedule meetings, just stop by, say hello, that kind of thing.
And I will answer, Kathleen had a great point about it would help if there was officially scheduled time for booksellers to visit the trade shows. And I will say that at least for MPIBA, and I'm assuming the same, while the exhibit hall, the Tri-West exhibit hall is open for a month, we will be encouraging our booksellers to visit the exhibit hall during our show. In particular. So we will be having, visit the exhibit hall, but then we'll be saying, and as soon as you visit it before and after, but because there's programming happening at all times during the 3 days of MPIBA, the exhibit hall is going to be a piece of what's happening. So that's why we wanted it to be open for a month, so that they can visit it during the show, because we're going to say, go over to the visit hall and see this book, but the fact that it's very different than in person, when the exhibit hall has an entire day and a half of uncontested time, that's not going to be the same in person, because we can't do all the multiple programming on the other days that we do it. I mean, that's not going to be the same virtual. So does that make sense? That's why the month is happening, so that the exhibit hall is not 100% focused. But when you're in your booth, that can be during our show.
But I think there could be a benefit to us choosing a separate day, when people could be in their booth and the booksellers won't be distracted by other programming. So that is something we can revisit in conversation.
It would have to be after.
Yeah.
The two other trade shows are happening before ours. Right.
There's a question about registration system for booksellers. Booksellers absolutely register in advance. How many people will attend this time? Who knows? FallCon is a thing that all the trade shows, the regional fall shows, are important to our booksellers regionally. And while this is a weird year, then we definitely will, we're expecting a good attendance. Richard, you've got your hand raised actually in real life.
Yeah, I couldn't find the hand raise icon. Just a quick thing, we're talking about having this during the show. Having it up for a month is great, because during the physical shows we were in competition with seminars and authors that are a lot more interesting than us. But there's nothing to stop us from having a link or available times throughout the rest of the month, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. I think that's a great benefit.
Yeah, we're trying to connect you to customers as sort of fluidly as we know how, and that's really just creating a system that is of links basically that you provide, that sort of the going back and forth. That's the best way. So we'll link to anything that you provide for us, and the notion is that we want you to sort of know what's going on, and we want your customers to be able to find you and to see the stuff, and however you want to manage your time, absolutely you can. So Dan, you had asked 2 questions. A booth button on the main page is a graphic. So it is the sizes. If you go to the main page and look, the sizes are specified in the model, whatever you want it to be. If it fits in that space, that's the button. So it can be no GIFs, no animated GIFs, so it can't flash. But if it is it doesn't have to, like, it can be anything that fits into that space.
I think logos make the most sense for those buttons. You can be creative. It could be a picture of your face if you think that'll draw people in, but the logo is probably the easiest way to let people know who they're looking at.
And there is no text on that page. It is only graphics. So the name of your company isn't listed underneath. It's the graphic needs to include who you are as a part of that. So I agree, logos are the best thing, but you can do, it's like you can play with your logo, you can do cool stuff with it. It doesn't have to be just very corporate feeling. And meeting appointment specific, yes, you can, again, if you're gonna be in your booth from this time to this time on these days, that can absolutely be a part of the text. And then the link is to wherever you want it to link, to whatever your platform is. Create a banner for the headers. Dominique, on those pages, that 1500 by, I forget, 1500 by 300 maybe graphic, that's the header graphic. Those, the green graphics are what can be replaced on the model pages. I know that people are going to have sort of specific questions along through this process, and people are going to come to you and as you're sharing it and be like, but what do I? Feel free to reach out to me directly about whatever comes up. I'm happy to answer any question about this. And because my goal is, all of our goals is to get you to look as good as you can for all of our bookstores and booksellers. So we want to create a platform that is good for you, and some of that's just going to be about interacting and trying to figure it out. Brian from PNBA says that he'll create an exhibitor notes mechanism to advertise specific events time at on his through his page, and we'll need to talk about the best ways to promote specific specific meeting room times. I do think that there's a way, but we just need to figure out how to build it into what we've got set up, and that's a conversation for Kelsey and Heather and I to have. But that's definitely a thing that we'll figure out how to address in some way.
We had a few questions that came to us specifically through email too, so I did want to just address those really quickly. And Jeremy, you might be the best one to answer this. Are the items within each booth flexible or able to be switched out for something else? So for example, can we possibly get 4 links for a standard booth? And is it possible to change out the video space of an essential booth with something else? So it's basically, are the features customizable?
You can change the content that is posted there, or we can take it away, but I can't change a video into a link or into a button, that sort of thing. It's you can fill the space, or I can remove things, but we can't add or shuffle, if that makes sense. Does that answer?
Yeah, I think that answers the question. There also is a question about invoicing. So if you are someone who works with many, many different publishers and the invoicing will need to be broken up to them, that is something you can specify when you're reserving the booth space. When you're reserving your space on our website, it'll ask you who's responsible for invoicing for that. And you can add in as many specifics there as you like. And we'll make sure that the invoices get to the right person for which amount. You'll also include your own contact information. So I'll follow up with you if I need more information on that, but you can be very specific with how you want the invoice to work. All right.
Well, we appreciate everybody taking time, unless Kelsey, were more questions popping up. You looked over very pensively.
Nope, just double checking. I have my other screen over here, so making sure I'm not missing any raised hands or anything.
I also have 9 screens open in front of me at all times.
I do. I have a brief question, which actually might be something for later on. In real life, we sometimes have authors hanging out at the booth. Is that something that will be a separate animal at the virtual show? Will they be hanging out somewhere else if they want to hang out? You know what I mean?
No.
Like if a bookseller wants to talk to an author and they're available to talk, where would that be?
That would be managed through one of the links
Through,
on our
okay.
page. Now,
Oh, on our page.
Yeah, so if you in your exhibit hall, if they would come and sort of be a part of your, sort of hang out with you and you want to sort of introduce them around,
Okay.
I would do that as a link. Now you can do
Okay.
this too, Christine. If you've got a bunch of things that don't fit into our 3 links or 5 links or however many, you can link back to a single page on your website where you have a whole host of things that are available. So you can your link can go to the schedule of cool stuff that we're putting on, and here's how, sort of more details, that sort of thing. So one link can link to many, many other things.
Okay,
just
gotcha.
a matter of way that you sort of think about it. But
Okay.
yeah, our stuff is all going to be basically programs, webinars, and
All right. No, that's fine. That answers it. I was wondering where they would be and how accessible they would be.
yeah, if we had many more days, I think.
Okay, well then let me ask one crucial question.
Yes.
Are the breakfasts going to be at the god awful hour of 7 a.m. my time?
Mostly at 4 a.m. on every day. We really want to start before anybody's ever awake or is able to think about anything. It's the prime. But I think we're gonna have everything start. What time zone are you in?
I'm Pacific.
So yes,
So
it's going to be God. Our show.
I would like breakfast to be at 2 p.m., please.
I think the breakfasts are going to be at 8, so they are going to be at 7 a.m.
Ugh. We're out. Simon is out. We're out. I'm just saying it. We're out.
And then, I have 4 time zones, so
I know. It's fine. It's fine.
there's
Okay,
no.
cool.
Our lunches are at 1:30 in the afternoon for the Texas people. So
Bastards. Okay, thank you. And thanks for this. This has been super helpful. It was hard to wrap my mind around what any of this would be like. So this is good.
Well, and it didn't help. We sent the email that we sent out that said this is live was from our brains, where we'd been thinking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and it was a little vague if you had not been sort of soaking in it for all that time. So I'm glad everybody seems to be generally enthusiastic. We really are interested in working with you to make it work as best as it possibly can. Hopefully this is not the new normal forever. Dear God, let this not be the new normal forever. But for the immediate time, I do feel like this is going to be a great way to reach more people in a simpler way. We do hope that these trade shows being online is going to give access to people who weren't ever really able to travel before, who didn't have, couldn't send all their staff. They would have been happy to, but now everybody on a bookstore staff can visit the exhibit hall and see all of the, see as much programming live as they want, participate, and also see it afterwards digitally as we have archive stuff up. So there are some advantages. It's just not nearly as fun and cool.
I did see an extra question sneak in here that I just wanted to make sure we saw. About digital tote bags. I think that's a great idea. I can say MPIBA doesn't have any plans for digital tote bags right now. I can't speak for PNBA or Caliba, but that is definitely something for the digital tote bag idea, basically so that it would work that attendees could collect PDFs, links, materials, that kind of thing. While we don't have that set up, those are all things that you can share on your exhibit hall page, and that might be a way for us to consider incentivizing people to go and collect things like that as well. So that's something we'll keep in mind.
Yeah, we'll come up with a cool way to collect info to incentivize people to go to the booths. There's got to be a way. It's just a matter of us thinking about it in the right way, and it has not left out just yet. But we will come up with something. I have confidence.
Looks like our Friday morning meetings might be back on.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions from anybody else? We're 5 till the end of the hour.
Thank you, Al. Thanks everybody for coming. We really appreciate you taking the hour. It's great to see a few faces float across the top of my screen. And like I said, it was the coolest Zoom meeting I've ever been in. I've never been with so many people digitally before. So appreciate everyone taking the time.
And just a reminder, this is all going up on the website. So if you think of something or remember later that we had discussed something and you want to go back and revisit it, you absolutely can do that. It'll all be up online sooner
Cool.
rather than later, shortly.
Relive it again and again.
And then, feel free to reach out. I'm sure more questions will come up, and Jeremy already said it, but please do reach out to us. We're happy to help you through it, help you brainstorm ways to make this more useful. We're all in this together, so.
Thanks everyone. Y'all have a great afternoon. We'll see you soon.
All right.
Thanks, MPIBA friends.
Thank you.
Everyone.